everyone. Welcome back to Spiritual Growth Tarot and Astrology. And this is your weekly astrological transits. We're going to go from the 22nd to the 27th, and October, of course. And then the 28th, I'm doing in a separate video, or I've already done actually. It's in a separate video, which is the lunar eclipse on the 28th. So, without further ado, let me just bring my camera over the table and get this going. Oh, and the sun's moving into Scorpio. I should say ahead of time, happy birthday to all of our Scorpio friends out there. So, anyway, let me swap out cameras. I'll be right back. All right, so I would imagine prior to Sunday, most of you, probably all of us, have been in the situations, many situations of balancing things out, preparing for ways to be even more productive or to go deeper. And I'm saying that because the sun's at 28 degrees Libra. It has crossed over the South Node, and we had that stellium, we had Mars and Mercury in Libra. We had all of that last week, over the last couple of weeks, and now Mercury has broken through to Scorpio, and the Sun will tomorrow. So this is the last day to, well, it's not the last day, but it's a good day to master some area of your life where you're trying to create more balance, maybe have more of this that you want and less of that type of thing, with Libra. If you've crossed that bridge and made decisions, and which is hard for most Libras, they like to just kind of go with the flow, see what comes, go towards what feels right at the time, but then there's this thing called commitment. And there's this spiritual law, which probably we could call the law of self-responsibility, that has everything to do with knowing that you create your own reality. We organize our reality based on our beliefs, and we need to learn to believe in ourselves more and take our power back from situations that have been draining or just are not really bringing in more life into our lives. There's, when you feel those power drains happen because you're working on something that doesn't really feed you, or you're working too hard, and this is especially a Libra Aries, polarity situation. It's like burning the candle at both ends, and learning about burnout and learning about crash and burn experiences and figuring out how to not do that anymore. And if the later stages of Libra, that's 28 degrees and 29 degrees when we get there tomorrow, and then into Scorpio, if Libra doesn't teach us, Scorpio will, because with the lineup in Scorpio coming, well, here's one way I can liken it to, just to give you an example. So think back to the fake elector scheme with Georgia, which Fani Willis is heading, and it's Judge McAfee, I think, if I have that right. So this morning, I'm doing this reading on Thursday. I think today's 18th or 19th, something like that. And the Kraken, Sidney Powell, she pled guilty, pled or pleaded, I don't know how to, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think she was coming from the place of, all right, I tried it, and I have no idea what sign she is, but this is just a typical explanation of the Libra to Scorpio bridge. And so basically she's at the FERC around and find out phase, or she's gone through the FERC around, I should say, and now she's going to find out. So with Libra, the information's coming out because Mercury has gone all the way across, the degrees of Libra and is now into Scorpio. Scorpio is about going deep. Scorpionic energy will get to the bottom of things. It's tenacious, just like Cancer energy is. It has the growth producing, the nurturing potential of Cancer, but then you take that and you take Virgo, just the facts, ma'am, and then Libra, let's look at both sides of this, look at it from all different angles. And then here we are in Scorpio. And the reason I'm giving so much energy to this is that, the sun will be there soon, and then we have this stellium in Scorpio that we had in Libra, now it's in Scorpio. So the scorpionic energy will bring through a lot more passion to go deeper. It's very perceptive, just like Cancer is as well. But you put those two together, and then the other water sign is Pisces over there, and you can kind of get if you're wise enough, you can get a big picture grasp. Or if you have your morals and faith aligned with love and truth, most of all, and justice. Oh yeah, and what sign rules justice? Libra. So we're finally seeing justice come through, and I think they had. No, I didn't count them all, but I posted it in the community section as to the people who were indicted. But I think they had 100 and some altogether, and they decided to, I don't know if people entered plea agreements way back in the beginning and they let them go, or put them on probation and let them go. I don't know what actually went down, and we probably won't know all the details until there's some big report that comes out after the trial. And maybe there'll be a series or a movie, That'd be great. It's going to be years of finding out all the details. But with this scorpionic energy, and then what's coming up at the end of the week is that full moon in Taurus over here, hooked up, not tight, but, moving towards Jupiter every day once the moon is full. And then Uranus, I'm seeing some huge, remember last week, a week before, I kept saying the facts are coming out, they're digging into it, they're getting more and more and more. News dumps will keep happening. People are going to say stupid things. People are going to do all kinds of stupid things, and we know who the top dog doing that is. Or how about we say the biggest clown and his, cadre. That's been happening just like I thought. And now this next week, I think, is going to be very revealing. I think Scorpio is going to dig down deep and dig in and bring up secrets. And I think we're going to see even more financial fraud scams, or I hope, with the later degrees of Libra energy here, and especially with the squares up to Pluto, right? Look at this. How many squares do we have coming off of Pluto here? It's basically South Node in the Sun, of course, and Mercury's there. Mars is moving out of orb, but it's still, it's still there. Yeah. So, and then that opposition to Eris in Aries, which is all about the courage. We could look at people like Tish James, Fonnie Willis, Tanya Chutkin, Judge Tanya Chutkin, and all women who are fighting for freedom, all women who are, they have the courage to hold the torch, carry the torch, and they're still reeling from the SCOTUS decision to take away Roe v. Wade and Dobbs. And, the truth is coming out about doctors and their liability, and how many people are at risk, how many women are at risk, and nobody likes their mother, daughter, sister, nephew, or I'm sorry, niece. No one likes anyone in their family to be at risk just for their gender. And then let's talk about LGBTQ rights and all types of other HIPAA, issues when it comes to health. So all that's been on the table. And that, of course, happened during when the nodes were in Taurus and Scorpio. So there was the reproductive crisis, basically. Scorpio can bring in crisis. Taurus is about safety, security. And now that the nodes are back into Libra, we're finally starting to see some justice. And all these women that are aligned with anything courageous that is bigger, much, much bigger than them, that's aligned with Eris. And she's not backing down, and she's not going to give up. It's just not going to happen. So she's stronger than Pluto, right? So 558 years to get around the zodiac. So with the full moon that's going to come in at the end of the week, and I have that in a separate video. It's already uploaded, but what's going to happen is it's the last full moon within, because it's on the eclipse. It's a partial lunar eclipse. But what's going to happen is that because it's the last one in that series that started back in late, I think, November 2021, it's going to bring something out to a head that can be very healing for what happened in the past. And I can't say for sure what it is, and I have a feeling it's more than one thing. But, I just feel like the clown is going down, and it's going to get really messy and ugly the further, it's like the fever pitch of craziness. So we can expect to be holding space for all of that we're going to see on the news or hear on the news. Or maybe you guys get your news from Midas Touch and they just can't keep up. I mean, I'm sure they can, because there's more than one of them, and there are, so many of them are attorneys. So they'll get you covered, not to worry. But you can also subscribe to MSNBC and get a lot there. And I try to post as many as much as I can from Washington Post. I can give away 10 free shares a month. So I do that as much as I can. But this is also this polarity between Libra and Aries, with Eris, and with all the scorpionic energy. I'm really concerned about more war and more issues in Israel and with Hamas. So we can use the Libra energy by praying for peace. Peacefulness is a Libran quality. So and remember, it's ruled by Venus, and Venus is that that planet that helps bring us into unity. There's that need for unity with Venus. So diplomacy, unity, those are all Libra and Venus qualities. So that's the backdrop going on. Now, also with the semi-square here from the Sun to Venus, there's that action that needs to be taken, albeit in a stubborn way, but a good way, I would say, with Venus and Virgo, because now we're at that well into that second decan of, or not well into, but a couple degrees into the second decan of Virgo, which brings through that ability to discern, the facts have been gathered, The facts have been coming in, and now we're integrating. And you can see that even with the war in Israel. It's like, due to intelligence overhead, and due to intelligence on the ground, and all the secret intel that was out there, they were able to see that actually Israel didn't have anything to do with the attack on the hospital. So things like that, we're integrating pieces of information, and from that, actions can be taken, and actions will need to be taken. The holding back maybe won't be there, hopefully with other countries. So, and then also the triple trine here coming off of Mercury, the Sun, and the South Node to Saturn. Saturn's there holding space. It's the slower moving planet in this configuration. Remember, Eris is the strongest. Pluto is the second strongest. Neptune would be the third. Uranus would be the fourth. Saturn would be the fifth. Jupiter would be the sixth. So going from, slower to faster. And then, of course, Sun, Mercury, Mars, they move pretty quickly. Venus as well. But Saturn in there has been, it's the planet that holds fixed reality into place. It's like it's a thing that you can depend on, that your front door is hung in a certain way that when you go to close it, it fits, because it has been painstakingly detailed out by a professional carpenter, or someone who at least learned from a carpenter how to hang a friggin' door, right? You can trust that your legs will support you when you stand up, because your bones are ruled by Saturn. You can trust that when you chew your food, your teeth are ruled by Saturn. So everything within form and structure is Saturn ruled. In Pisces, we've been opening up all possibilities for creating new foundations of structure. And we've been getting a lot of guidance from our, spiritually sourced, however you get your divination, in what, dream time, however it comes, meditation, dream time, prayer, hanging out with other people with good ideas that are very open, and it's all about the greater good of the whole. And with this triple trine coming over, coming off of, the Sun is shining some light. The South Node of in Libra has been holding space to remember what happened in the past. Is kind of like the hallmark there, sitting there with hindsight to give us more intuition, and especially with all things related to other people, relationships, our social structures, things like that. Brings in the connection to Saturn, and excuse me, and the Sun shining a light there will help us even more. There's that spotlight. Hold on one second. That's better. Needed tons of water there. So with the Sun at that 51 minutes, almost at the 29th, anaretic degree of Libra, there's something very powerful coming through to help us balance out whatever spiritually sourced structures we've been creating, even though it's been delayed, whatever it was, because Saturn was retrograde. Saturn will go direct. I forget what day. It's later this week, but it's happening. Oh, no, wait, I'm sorry. It's next week. That's the thing, is I'm always like a week ahead. I think it's November 4th that Saturn goes direct. Yeah, it is. And it'll, still be at 0 degrees Pisces, but it's going to have to cover all that territory, because it's been retrograde since last summer, or, this summer. I think it was June. I think it was the middle of June. And once it goes direct and then it passes that 7 degree mark, we'll be out of the shadow. So we still have some delays, some going deeper with all the scorpionic energy, and then getting more facts with Venus moving through Virgo, for quite some time. And then even when she hits Libra, she'll be holding space for justice. Right now she's gathering more facts and she's integrating. So for all of us, we're integrating life lessons that have to do with our health, our service, our day-to-day details of taking care of, life, our self-care, all of those things. And with the trine, you see she's at 12 and Jupiter's at 12. And Jupiter when Jupiter goes direct, it'll cover, go over that same territory. But or Jupiter, I don't know if it's a she or a he. I don't know why I'm genderizing the planets. I'm just being silly. Men can be nurturing, men can want unity, men can do all the things that women can do, and women can do an awful lot of the things men can do, except lift heavy things, and right? But when it comes to Jupiter getting back over that going back over that same territory, Jupiter went retrograde at 15 degrees of Taurus, and it won't go direct until December 31st, and then that it'll be at 5 degrees by the time the retrogradation stops. So Jupiter still has 7 more degrees to go back, right? That's quite a bit. So yeah, and Uranus, when it goes retrograde, it's been retrograde, but it's only going to go back to 19 degrees. So when it goes direct, that's next year. I think it's the end of January, if I remember correctly. Yeah. So let's see what else. We have that, excuse me, that inconjunct still happening from Neptune. Besides the, Pluto squaring the nodes, which is all about us making the decisions and taking our using our self-responsibility to be in our integrity. And from there, when I say in your integrity, it just means that you know that you're creating your own life and you're not going to blame other people when things don't go right. And with everything we've had in Libra going on, we've been working out, relationship issues and maybe letting go of me versus the other, but also having your healthy, strong, boundaries and the autonomy that matters. So yeah, but back to the inconjunct, quincunx here, this 150 degrees from Neptune to the South Node. This is continuing until, I think it's December 6th. We lost the sextile from Neptune to Pluto, but, we probably learned a lot there. So when we have these transits, I don't know if we totally lose anything. It's just that, there are opportunities to have more consciousness in some area. And from Neptune to Pluto, it was to, connect with your spiritual source and find your real power in your spirit, in your higher self and your spirit. Not, your real power is not with your employer or your friend or your partner or your, you know what I mean? It's not like that. It's not like that at all. It irks me to no end when people say things like, my better half, or now that I found you, I'm whole. It's like, what? That doesn't serve autonomy at all. And these are all, Libra Aries polarities there. So you want two wholes to come together, two whole complete people coming together in a relationship. You don't want a half here and a half here, and oh my God, until I find that other half, I'm lost. Yeah, no. I don't know. There's people. There's always the buzz of the twin flame and all of it, but I don't think they have that right either. I just don't. That's another whole subject I'm not going to get into here. the twin flame, all I'll say is I think it's just more of a resonance of someone who is so close to you, so much like you, that you relate on every level. But that doesn't mean you're not a whole person without them if you never find them, right? Those are things that keep you stuck and lost in the longing, and would never bring in the thing that you're wanting anyway. Because to bring in all the things that you're wanting, you have to resonate with that and have it inside of you first. So yeah. Okay, so let's see. I think we're good with the backdrop there. We do have a semi-square here between Saturn and Chiron. Yeah, so there's a need for some action. If there's wounding coming up around asserting yourself, but you're worried, well, shoot, this could play out two ways. One way this could play out is that there's that need to assert yourself, your healthy self-assertion, but also consider everyone else. It's like you're walking in another person's shoes, things like that. And then it also could play out in the way, so that's one consideration. The other consideration is being in the wounded part of it, where you have abandoned me, you've rejected me, I'm the victim. And things like, what else? The wounding with Aries is like abandonment, rejection, needing to assert yourself, your own individual, unique self, but excuse me, but not trusting your instincts and not daring to put yourself out there. And we all often have, hold on one second. Wait, I'll be right back. Okay, that's better. I needed to blow my nose. It's one thing to put yourself out there, but then if you're rejected, it's good that you don't reject yourself. And it's good that you put yourself out there, and it's okay to be rejected. It is never it's never about giving them the power to make you feel bad. It's more about you bringing back your power and not rejecting yourself. And knowing that, like, let's say you're applying for a job, or here's another funny one, like if you're not funny, but if you're an actor and you go to an audition and they don't choose you, do you go home and think that you're just the worst actor in the world and you're never going to get you'll never get a part, you'll just, all of that? Or do you realize that it just wasn't the right situation for you? And they needed somebody who just happened to have a different color hair or look different, and it's nothing about you. They're not rejecting you. It's just you in the situation. So it's things like that. Same thing with a job. It can have to do with timing. It can have to do with availability. It can have to do with so many other things. And here's the important piece. We're meant to not take it personally. We're meant to not reject ourselves. We're meant to not abandon ourselves. And most of all with Chiron and Aries, not to, and here would be like maybe one of the problems with the semi-square, is to not act on any victimization and make yourself bad, make yourself wrong, do anything impulsive that could, hurt yourself or hurt others. So these are some of the tendencies, we see with, and Saturn has been sitting there. That semi-square has been there for quite some time. So yeah, let's see. Uranus trining Pluto has been going on for a bit, and see, Pluto's going backwards. Uranus will only go back a couple more degrees, like 3 degrees. Pluto's so slow. so slow. So we'll have this aspect for a little bit. Well, no, wait, you know what? No, wait, because 2157, 22, yeah, no, I think tomorrow, I bet you by tomorrow it's gone. Well, at least with a tight enough orb. We'll see, tomorrow or the next day. So what this has been bringing through for us has been breakthroughs in ways to understand more deeply, more awareness as to what matters most. And then with the trine up to Pluto, then we can decide what we want to really apply ourselves to, or more ways that we can apply ourselves to bringing through what we want. And, it's more like quality control, more deciding where to invest your time. Yeah. So more self-respect, waking up to what you really value about yourself, better self-worth issues, and more self-respect, or not better self-worth issues, the healing of self-worth issues, a better sense of your self-worth, and then that is that natural energy that helps to be in your integrity and just be your authentic, real self. Everyone loves it when you're just real. So, okay, let's see. Jupiter, now this is an applying opposition because Mars is at 7 degrees, Jupiter's at 12, but you can see this opposition coming in here, and that Mercury will be there before too long. So this build-up, let's get into this a little bit more. Mercury's moving more quickly than Mars, so this will be, a tight conjunction soon. And so there's a lot more energy and focus into going deep. And the energy with the movement, see, this is like when Mars is in Scorpio, this is like mixing fixed and cardinal energy together, because Mars moves and it moves energy. Well, the energy that's moving with Scorpio is to dig down and dig deep. And then from there, more and more comes through. This is like, what we're seeing on the political stage. It's like finally we're seeing one of the key players with the Georgia, election scandal, and people lining up to. It's probably going to be like some type of a domino effect where people just line up and decide to tell the truth, and like they don't want to go down for the clown. It's not worth it. And the other thing too, because of the scorpionic energy here, and this is a good way to look at Scorpio, is that you start with something and you want to figure it out and you go deeper, and then you never know how deep and how far and what it could open to, and that's because of the natural trine over to Pisces. So if you're nurturing the truth and nurturing what grows more, or just facilitates more growth in your life with the Cancer energy, and then you take that and run with it with the Scorpionic energy and go deep, and you're persistent, and you've got the tenacity and then the persistence and the determination, then you never know how far it can go. And a perfect example is that everything that's happening in the Georgia case it's very possible that it could play over into federal cases in the future. So from state to federal, that's a very real possibility. So we'll see how that plays out. But I think that's probably good enough for the backdrop, except for I don't know if I gave enough power to Venus and Jupiter. I think I got distracted there, you guys. Sorry about that. Jupiter trining Venus at the exact degrees
is all about, and this is where I think I remember leaving off with it last week. So getting more facts, getting more details, and with Jupiter's over here like holding space for the truth. Jupiter's over here saying, hey, it's like holding space for natural law, spiritual law, man-made law, and hopefully they're in alignment with spiritual law, but not always. But combine that with the easy flow of there's some integration happening with details coming through and discernment. There's some, Virgo is all about tracking patterns and connecting the dots. And then from there, it leads to more truth. But the truth is just sitting here, going, come on, there are life lessons at stake here with Jupiter at that second decan of Taurus. And it's all about, some of the Taurian qualities have to do with security. So if we're putting it on the political stage, we could say, we need to have free and fair elections, and we need our elections to be secure, and we need people to be secure and safe. Otherwise, what are we doing here? And without safety, we can't create stability, and without stability, we don't have a foundation to grow upon. So Venus and Jupiter are holding space for that, for us to, for all of us to get ourselves together. And then with that opposition from Jupiter up to Mars, every day that goes by, Mars is clipping along and will be in exact opposition. And then at some point, an exact opposition with Uranus. So that polarity there will hearken us back to last year when we had the nodal axis in Taurus and Scorpio, and there might be some real purging, transformation and purging is probably purging and eliminating. Well, they're both. Pluto rules Scorpio. Mars used to be the old, the ancient ruler, but there's a double whammy here of purging and transforming the old with the help of what is true, bringing out the truth. So there you go. Okay, let's go to Monday. Now we have the sun in Scorpio, and it comes in at 9:44 a.m. before it's in Scorpio. So early in the morning, it's still at that 29th degree, anaretic degree of Libra, where decisions have been probably made. We've learned some deep lessons. The truth has been coming out, and now we know we really can dig into what it is that we're wanting to bring through. And there's determination. There's so much determination within the sign of Scorpio. There's also an intensity to get to the bottom of things. And sometimes people need to go through a little bit of crisis. Sometimes people need to figure out who they can trust. All of those issues are on the table with the polarity of Taurus and Scorpio that's starting off. And again, it'll take us back to last year when Roe v. Wade was taken away, and when all these sex and money scandals were coming out. Something may come up again from then, because we've had a full lunation cycle, or with the sun, or not lunation, a full solar cycle moving, and now the sun will be shining some light on all things of the past that needs to be healed, and justice being served. Things being balanced out in our lives personally, but we're the ones that have to balance. We're the ones that have to figure out what needs to be balanced and what needs to go, what needs to stay, things like that. What needs to be shifted. Paradigm shifts galore with this polarity going on. And so again, just like I was saying before, just notice that the Sun, Mercury, and Mars is all headed this way. They're all headed this way. The stellium of determination and going deep, getting through intense situations, trying to figure out who you trust and who's not trustworthy, who you want to share your secrets with and who you do not, who you know is not trustworthy to hold your secrets. And the worst way to handle this is just to not go deep within yourself to figure out what you want to create in your life, and to just kind of, flounder around in resentment. The downside of Scorpio can be just feeling very resentful and just sucking up a bunch of energy doing nothing important other than talking about what other people are doing all the time, and people that don't have any effect. I'm not talking about, if you're talking about politics, the politicians have an effect on our lives, so we have every right to talk about what they're doing or not doing. None of this is going to bode well for people like McCarthy and Jim Jordan and Steve Scalise and all these other people who have jumped on the bandwagon of Trump. Let's keep Trump going, that type of thing. That's not going to play out well for any of those ilk. So, yeah. So the downside of Scorpio is resentment, vengeance, getting even. And people are just really self-absorbed, but maybe this is about us knowing enough about these people that are, they teach you who they are. And if this is a personal issue in your life, you've already gone through it enough times with a certain so-and-so or a situation, and how it's, if it hasn't changed and it's been a whole year or more, it's not likely to change. And so this could be, the need for a break, or a complete moving on, and or taking a pause, stepping back. And this sesquisquare here coming from Venus to Pluto, that could really bring in that need to just hold back and wait. Oh, you know what? I forgot. Darn it, you guys! I'm sorry. Hold on. I forgot to talk about the moon in Aquarius yesterday. So, suffice to say that it was just all about freedom and seeing the bigger picture. Aquarius is always so good at that. And then all the information that was over here that we've already gone through. So it's more of the freedom breaking away, because we left last week with the moon hooking up with Pluto, and I told you some things were going to come out on the political stage. I suspected that, and they certainly have by today. And so here we go. Let's go back to Monday. And now with the aspects to the moon, because you have the backdrop already, we've got that. So let's just focus on the moon here, with the square to Uranus. The moon's at 20 degrees. As soon as the sun goes into Scorpio, we also have a square that's been building. So we've been feeling it, even though you can't see it. You can feel it, and the square has been to it's really not that much of a tension field, because Uranus rules Aquarius, and the moon wants safety just like Taurus does. So the theme here is just freedom and safety. We want, without safety and security and our own possessions that we can say, this is mine, it's not yours. This is me, I'm not you, and I don't need to be like you, and you don't need to be like me. It's better that we're different, and we can honor the difference as being a beautiful part of life, or all the beautiful parts of life. And there's, serenity and wisdom that can come through with that Aquarian, seeing that bigger picture. And with the square to Taurus, but it's, we're talking Uranus here, it's waking up to see that if we don't have that safety, security, and stability, then we'll never have freedom. So there's that on one level, on the world stage. And since the moon rules the public, it's very possible that something comes out, in the public, and it is trying the South Node, so it would be about the past and relationships and justice. So, and maybe we're healing, there could be a lot of people out there beautifully healing dependency, codependency issues in relationship and understanding about the healthy boundaries and all those things I'm always talking about. So there's that real possibility for healing there, and a little bit of the tension field. The only way this could, the worst way this could play out is with the war in Israel and Ukraine, with the moon sometimes in Aquarius, or in the sun in Aquarius. One of the downsides of the Aquarius, it would be something disruptive, something where it's detached from the heart. People who think that they're better than others, and so there's a lack of humanity. The downside of Uranus, Aquarius, would be not being treated humanely and being pigeonholed for your color of your skin. Not the downside of Aquarius is where people don't like the differences in each other. They don't like the original ideas. They want, it's just bigotry, basically. They're racist. And so racism and bigotry are the hallmarks of the darkness of Aquarius. And with that 20 degrees Aquarius there will be, in the square to Uranus, there will be lessons to learn about that. So if people are going through that, or if people are engaged in that, they will have some hard lessons to learn. So let's go ahead and move on to Tuesday. Tuesday, I set it for 5 a.m. because it brought the moon in touch with Pisces, the moon over into Pisces in touch with Saturn. So again, the lessons and the mastery, and this is compassionate, open-hearted. Pisces is beautiful for, healing and including others, and having spiritual opportunities come through, and having fulfillment. Think of the Nine of Cups in the tarot. The fulfillment card. I think that card is Jupiter and Pisces. But yeah, it's like it's wonderful, bliss, happiness, all of that. And then with there's 3 trines off of the moon, and Saturn is still. Look at, man, there's so much flow going on here. So not only the wisdom of the past with the South Node in Libra, also the Sun, Mercury, and Mars with this trine over to Saturn and the moon. I think Tuesday there could be some really beautiful breakthrough and flow of energy. Maybe there's some humanitarian aid, because Pisces rules immigration, so I'm wondering if there's that going on. And then Neptune, there's a sesquisquare coming off of Mars to Neptune, so that could be some aid that helps with, because Scorpio can be very resourceful, so there could be some energy full of resources that helps in a very humane way with immigration, with the war in both wars in Israel and Ukraine. And it's none of this bodes well for Putin and little Rocket Man and even Netanyahu. I mean, he would not get behind helping Ukraine, so there's that. Yeah. Okay, so Venus has a sesquisquare. I can spell it and I can't say it. It's sesquisquare. To Pluto, again, with the stubborn energy that needs to be stubborn because we're holding on to what matters most. We're holding on to, well, if we're coming at it from the love, from the language of love and light, it's about resource, physical resources and facts and systems to commit to, supporting what is right. It's responsibility, it's control, it's hard work in order to respect the lives of others and do what is needed to help out. But if it's in the dark side, then it's a stubborn narcissistic holding on and not respecting others because the money is more important to them than human. Yeah, so, okay. You can see Mars is moving closer and closer to, we've got 3 degrees of, this is turning into a tight opposition here from Mars to Jupiter. So again, the confrontation around what is needed for healing, what is the truth. We're talking resources and money, and there's a breakthrough that's very possible, and we're building up to that day by day. And Mercury's there, so we're all talking about it. It's still all about the war, and it's still all about the dirty money grabbers and people who just want to hold on. There's this fixed polarity, here. And so that's one of the issues with Sun, Mercury, and Mars in Scorpio. That's all fixed. So what are we fixing to do, basically? And then Jupiter's over here in Taurus saying Taurus is fixed as well, but Jupiter's very expansive. So that's opening. Jupiter's the stronger planet within this configuration, of course, because it moves the slowest. And Jupiter's over here saying, but wait, what is the truth? What's really happening? What is it that really matters, connected to Scorpio? And like I keep saying is, like if you're not building something that is creating more stability in your life, even if you have to take a risk and move, even if you're thinking long term, like 30 years from now, is where I'm living going to be safe, and you're starting to think of ways of other places to move, those are all good things, and that is part of the Taurus Scorpio polarity, is to get in touch with that and make plans for the future, and have the commitment and the tenacity, the determination to see it through. So, yeah. And then again, we still have, all the trine energy to Saturn and the moon and Pisces, so seeing the big picture. There's a lot here about immigration and resources, and you're creating the depth of your spiritually sourced foundation and trusting your instincts. Pisces is really, really good for getting into your intuitive flow and thinking without limitations. Yeah, let's see, anything else? The sesquisquare there, the semi-square we talked about already. The semi-square from Saturn to Chiron, I talked about already, but now with the moon hooked up early this morning, maybe there's some dream time guidance that came through that can help, that very well help heal, especially for those of you having your Chiron return. If you were born with Chiron anywhere near this 17, or anywhere near, let's say, 3 to 20 degrees, 21 degrees Aries, this is, you're approaching or you're leaving your Chiron return. It happens to everyone between 50 and 52. I can't say for sure what age because it depends on the retrogradation process and all that. But it's when we meet our deepest wounding, and if we work through the wounding and get to the truth, which in Aries, the truth would be how much you matter, and as long as you don't abandon yourself and you can assert yourself in a healthy way and blaze your own trail in life and let go of the need to come first and let go of the fear of being left out, and definitely try not to be impulsive, but trust your instincts. Initiate things in your life. Be present with yourself. Those are your gifts. And the gifts are always underneath the wounding. So when you let go of the wounding, when you process through the wounding, and for some of you, it may feel like you might have a false belief that you don't think you weren't supposed to even exist, like that type of a thing. Like some old primordial from past lifetimes, something around existence and how much you matter because you're here. So if you can let go of all that, then the gifts will come through and you can be a trailblazer for yourself. So let's go ahead and go to Wednesday. Wednesday, October 25th. I clocked this one at 8 a.m. to bring through the moon close enough to Neptune. So, man, Tuesday and Wednesday are great days for all of the spiritual work that you want to do. Pisces is also a beautiful sign for musicians, anything mystical, of course, but, art, music, anything you want to devote yourself to, if you're having trouble with addictions, I think that energy here would be with the sesquisquares going back up to Mars and Mercury. If you could stubbornly hold on to your spirit and know that you are so much bigger than your addiction, whatever it is, then you can just transform that whole 9 yards. We could see butterflies over here with Scorpio, with that transformation of, like maybe you're letting go of something is just not healthy for you. And there can be some, I would say, if you can stubbornly hold on to yourself and always ask your higher self. I mean, none of us really, I don't think, well, yeah, I guess you could work through addictions without asking for prayer and support, but you certainly can do it more easily if you pray to, assign a guide or a team to helping you let go of something. And so maybe they'll distract you or inspire you in a loving way towards something else when you first think of that thing you think you need to have, which you don't really need, Like if let's say you're trying to let go of sugar or something, or spicy food that you don't digest, or what else? I don't know. There's so many so many things in life to be addicted to, right? So whatever it is, I think it's easier with prayer and with a team to support you, and you can certainly create something like that today with this configuration going on here. Someone who will, or these beings, this divine intervention that can come in. Yeah, and you never know how it'll come through either. Like last week, I was shoving something down my throat so fast because I was starving. And I was catching myself going, what am I doing? Slow down. And then Lori texted me something funny. And then she said, sorry if I was distracting or whatever. And I'm like, please distract me. Things like that. I know my angels were working through her that day. So, yeah. Okay. The moon and Neptune. Well, the moon is... It's the moon, actually, that is trine Uranus here. So that, again, speaks to, and then with the aspect of the architect happening, that, again, speaks to what I was just saying, where divine intervention can come through to wake you up out of your physical, because Taurus is all about yummy food, massage, anything that has to do with the senses. 5 senses would be Taurian territory. 6th and 7th and all those senses above would be Piscean territory. So those two working together, and then with the aspect of the architect coming over to Venus, again, things that bring more health, whatever it is that you're needing for your health. It's so worth your time and energy, and that's on the table for today. Chiron in the quincunx in conjunct aspect over to Venus is also supporting that. There are adjustments. Every degree closer that Venus moves forward, and now we're only talking at like a 1.5, 2 degree, 3 degree tops orb of an inconjunct because it's tight, but it's happening there between Venus and Chiron. So Venus can help find other ways for self-care as we're making the adjustments to healing our deepest wounding, right? You know, like maybe you had parents who used food, which is, you know, to a little one, is our sense of survival. Without food, we don't, you know, we don't live. And if we had parents who used food to control us, this aspect could help heal something deeper within that could bring through that. You know, existential fears could come up, and Venus over here could go, oh, but wait, look around me. I have everything I need. And I know how to cook for myself, and nobody's controlling my food. Things like that. Yeah. So, okay, let's see. Also, Venus is or the moon is in an opposition and has been. This is for 8 a.m., but earlier, way earlier in the morning, the moon was in an exact opposition to Venus. So again, same thing that I've been talking about as to hanging out with your higher self, your guides, your spiritual realm, your spiritual team, and there can be some conversations intuitively or actual verbal, you know, or lists and plans being made because you're getting guidance. There can be major breakthroughs. There can be confrontations, right? Like Pisces, the moon in Pisces over here is like, I want it all, and I just want it all. But it can also be, because it's hooked up with Neptune, that we are envisioning something better, and we can imprint that with meditation. And Venus is over here in Virgo going, yeah, write it down, or record it, or draw, or do whatever to get it down physically, get it in physically. We've got the spiritual realm over here, and we've got the physical realm here helping us to unite with the spiritual realm. So wonderful. That's great. All right, let's go to Thursday. Thursday o'clock, this one at 4 a.m., because the moon moves into, I figured you're going earlier than that is kind of crazy, but, you know, whatever time, if you wake up even close to 4, the moon's in Aries. It might be one of those mornings where you hit the ground running, and you just get up and you're up. There's no lounging in bed. It's possible. And with the inconjunct quincunx here up to the sun, and as the moon moves forward every, hour of the day, it'll also in conjunct quincunx Mercury and Mars. So the stellium is triggered in here. The stellium of Scorpio is triggered by the moon in Aries. Now, again, Aries is cardinal energy, movement-oriented, instinctually oriented, and Scorpio's over here going, oh wait, how can I use this to go deeper? And it's fixed, but it'll get you somewhere still. So this is good, but there will be adjustments, and it might be because you wake up after that sojourn of the moon, with Saturn and the moon, the moon in Pisces hitting up Saturn and Neptune. All that spiritual guidance that came through, it could be that instinctually on Thursday morning, you know how to move forward. And because of that guidance, you make adjustments as to, what you're going to talk about, what you're thinking about. There's even a spotlight on something. It could be that something comes out on the news. This whole time with the Sun conjunct Mercury, we can expect the news to just be going nuts, just going deeper and deeper, and things coming out. And with Mars and Scorpio and Mercury and Mars together, this whole stellium, there's a spotlight on things that have happened in the past, and secrets are coming out. Things are intense. There could be crisis and betrayals. I could expect the orange one to just be going nuts with his mouth about everybody who's, the witch hunt. God. Okay, so the moon's in Aries all day, basically, and even tomorrow and halfway into the moon stays. It takes 2.5 days to get through one sign. So it's going to be a couple days of lots of action, and the moon hooking up with Chiron might be helpful for healing when it gets there, but let's not move ahead of ourselves. The moon this morning early, we have that sextile to Pluto. Now maybe, again, like I said, with that hookup with all that Piscean energy, it's very possible that there's some new sense of duty. Both Capricorn and Aries are cardinal movement-oriented energy. It's just that Aries is more bringing in something new. Capricorn has already had the hookup with Virgo and has the details and knows what to do with it. It's like the nuts and bolts of whatever you've been working on. There might be some new information, some new opportunity to make that process easier, whatever it is. Okay, Friday, we have, like I was saying, the moon hooking up with Chiron, and I clocked it at 7 a.m. to get it. It came out exactly there. 16 degrees, 57 minutes, the moon and Chiron. So, like I said before, everything I talked about with Chiron in Aries, and especially retrograde, all the the healing of the gifts and being able to move out with your own energy, moving forward, and you've got that. Even though it's not close conjunction, but there's still enough. The moon is going to keep moving forward. So the moon has picked up something off of Chiron. So there's some energy, some information, some new way to move forward for you, specifically in your own life. I can't say what that is unless I had your chart, but I could toss some ideas out there for you. But when it comes to the moon moving towards Eris, the courage is going to come in to go for. So if the healing has happened with Chiron, the moon will bring in more of something that you can connect the dots with. The moon's really good for helping us to figure out how to respond, how to intuitively move forward, how to nurture. Now, the moon rules the public, so it could be, like I was saying before, with all of Trump's cronies, in the past cronies, they're all fighting for their own life, and they're not going to go down. They don't want to go down for him, so more and more leaving. None of this bodes well for the GOP House finding their way without support from the Democrats. And so, we're kind of waiting for them to get on board, but yeah. So whatever is coming through for you that you're wanting to bring into your life, there's going to be more courage as the hours go by, because the moon later on will hook up with not only Eris, but the North Node. And the North Node is the direction that we're all going. So we're all going towards more autonomy. We're all going towards blazing our own trails and trusting our instincts, being a little more daring, as long as we're not running over someone else. that's the square up to Pluto up here. And if it's somebody having to trying to control us in the direction that we're wanting to go, there's going to be a fight, big fights, right, with Pluto up there in that T-square. So, this configuration is in your chart somewhere. So you want to have your chart, you want to look at that and place it in there. And then you'll know what areas in your life that you're working on. So I think this is it, except for what I'll do is, that's done. I mean, I've talked so much about all of the other aspects that it's just the same thing. Everything I said before for yesterday applies to today, except for today brings in the courage to actually do. To actually get it done. So let me just show you the chart for the partial lunar eclipse, and I'll remember to link the reading into this in the description area when I get this uploaded. So this is what we're moving into for Saturday. It takes until 1:24 p.m. before the moon is at that full degree from the sun. So it's coming in 5 degrees Taurus, opposing the sun, 5 degrees Scorpio, of course. So wherever that is in your chart, that's where there's some illumination, some release, fruition, completion, hopefully all the good things. And like I said, I've already done that video. If you know your chart, you have it, you want to listen to that video, I have it time-stamped for the different houses. I think I put the timestamps in there. I'll check. But bottom line is, whatever house this configuration, this moon, Jupiter, and Uranus, well, Jupiter and Uranus have already been in that house, but the moon hooking up with the full moon and, hour by hour getting closer and closer to Jupiter, this is a big event for you wherever this is happening in your chart. So you're going to want to know which house that is. Yeah, because every house relates to an area of our lives. So anyway, I'm going to get this uploaded, send you big hugs, and take good care. Bye.